Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to another fun-filled episode of the CryptoManiacs podcast. I'm Jongo. That's Task. And Task, it's an exciting day today. You want to know why, sir?
We get questions.
We're back. It's been a couple weeks
It has
since we...
been where we had to juggle the schedule a little bit for our studio guests. No,
Yes,
we
sir.
don't have a studio.
It's exciting, though. It's exciting to have special occasions, but it is always good to jump back into the questions.
Get back to a
So
routine so we're not confused.
get back into a routine. We'll dive into them, not a ton this week, but like Tass said before we went on air, we'll go through the questions, and then I'm sure we'll do something very new for you guys this week. We'll discuss how much we love Hive, brand new, crazy concepts that we're throwing out there this week. So hopefully you guys are ready to rock.
And if we have some time, we'll also talk about how much John hates Ethereum and MetaMask. Another new topic we don't
new
cover
things,
that
new things. Man, wow, yeah, lots to talk about though. Let's before we get into all the news, gossip, scandal, let's get into it. I will share the screen here so you guys can follow along. One of the I think it's the first question. It'll actually ask. Let me just fix this here. There we go. No, that's not right. That's better. There you go. We're back on CTP chat, and that's actually the first question. Task. You ready for a CTP related question?
Sure. Don't know if I have any insight into it. That probably will be all you, but let's take a shot.
There's a few. It's a lot of questions. There's listeners' questions, CTP questions. But Shanna Beer, excuse me, starts us off, and she asks, CTP chat, that's different to CTP talk? Is there anywhere that explains how all these accounts fit together and where we go, what, and when? And maybe a link in the FAQs post in every post in the family. So CTP talk is our front end. CTP talk is the .com is the front end. It's our blogging platform, front end on Hive. Second layer token, you blog on that, you'll get rewarded in CTP tokens. Everything is fine and dandy. Now, we made the official CTP account instead of Click Track Profit, because Click Track Profit is the witness account, so we decided to keep that separate. We created another account called CTP Talk. CTP Talk at CTP Talk is basically just the corporate account where we do the live streams. The live stream right now is going out on CTP Talk. If we do updates, we do videos uploads on 3Speak. That's where that goes. All official updates will go on the account at CTP Talk. CTP Chat came from actually Taskmaster's concept of Leo Market Talk. The whole idea was to create a daily chat about things that are going on in Leo, about things that are going on the blockchain. And there's a kid screaming. Just 1 second. Do you hear that? Do you hear that when it happens or no?
Not overwhelming. It wasn't real bad.
No, it's again. I need to build doors, anyways. But the concept was that every day you would do a post and then people would just chat. They would talk and it would be short form content. This is pre Leo Threads. This was like what 2 years ago you started this Leo Market Talk. It was
right around 2 years ago. It was some point in August. In fact, now that I think about it, I just the other day I think the 17th. I'm not sure. I think I just celebrated 5 years on chain.
Wow. You should have had a big award, man. Like, did you get your badge? You should have got your Hive Buzz badge. So
I might have. I don't know. I didn't look.
I love you are so stoic when it comes to your journey on Hive. It's very impressive. Like, you're not too low, not too high. You just keep on keeping on. No?
Just put up content. Content creator, create content. That's what we do.
The job description. Exactly.
Yeah. Content creator. What do I do? Create content?
Create content. I know. Crazy concept. I know.
Yeah.
But
not too hard to figure out.
Yeah, definitely not. So the idea behind CTP chat was to do a daily chat, and we started doing it about a year ago. I was doing it, but it just got too much for me personally. So what we decided to do was to transform the account CTP chat into a post that I put out on Wednesday evenings, crossing fingers usually. And I asked for people to ask their questions, what they want to talk about, what they want Task and I to discuss on Friday's episode. So it's become kind of a feeder account for people to ask questions that we would address on Friday's show. That's what the CTP chat account it started out as, and now what it's morphed into. But it's all on CTP Talk, which is the front end, just like ED. But the account CTP Talk is just the corporate account that does all the news, and then CTP Chat is just the community chat where we discuss things on Friday. So there you go. That's the official statement. Pretty good. Yeah. Good to go.
Works for me.
Works. We have a crypto price question. My path to fire. He attends the show live regularly, so him asking this is kind of a head scratcher, but we'll dive into it. Are we at the bottom for the price of Hive? It seems to have found a floor at around 60 cents.
Except it went below 60 cents this morning. So much for that theory. It could go up, it could go down. Who the hell knows?
I don't know pricing and like what bottoms are and what
I know they pumped HBD last night to like $1.60 and
went to $1.60. Yeah.
Get some Hive. The Koreans next couple of weeks will probably pump Hive too. I don't know.
Yeah. I flipped some liquid HBD ahead. I took advantage of it. But yeah, it's what the price is the bottom. I don't know. I mean, this is again, and this is beating a dead horse, but I think it really needs repeating. This is why use case is so important, because what's the bottom? I don't know. What's the top? I don't know. Can I use Hive today and tomorrow?
Where's it going from here? I don't know.
No idea. Can I use it today and tomorrow? Yes. Can I use it when it's at its bottom? Yes. Can I use it when it's at its top? Yes. So use case for crypto is so important to me because I know I can't control the market. I have nothing to do with the market prices. My little peon self, there's nothing I can do to affect the markets. But I can use the stuff. So for me, this is what's so critical when it comes to pricing of Hive. It's like when it's low, it's low. When it's high, it's high. It doesn't matter. I'm going to keep using it.
You know what? It doesn't matter what the price is. You get the same amount of resource credits. You can engage with the chain. So if the price doubles, you don't get double the resource credits.
Yeah. That was actually a question. Didn't come up on here, but we were talking about it. I think it was on my. Did you see my post, man? Damn, I had like 87 comments on it and stuff. Like people love talking to me. I love people. No. It was good, man.
I've been buried in Leo Glossary. No, it's great when you get those comments and get interaction. Now, 87 comments, you're competing with Leo Threads.
I loved it, dude. I mean, it's one of those, and I don't know if I got the badge, but HiveBuzz gives out a badge. I love the gamification HiveBuzz does. And one of the awards I'm so proud of that I get, it's not the, you created every day of the week or this, that, and that. It's like literally your post had the most comments. Like, I love those, dude. Those are like, it's my currency as a content creator. When I get a lot of comments, I love it. Anyways, so there you go. But my path to fire, as you know, because you are obviously a very heavy user of this blockchain, you can wake up tomorrow and use the blockchain if it's at its bottom. You can wake up tomorrow and use the blockchain if it's going to the moon. That's what's really important to me. So pricing, I couldn't even tell you, man. I mean, I've seen it as low as under 10 cents. I've seen it as high as multiple dollars. We're going back to the legacy chain. So yeah.
Actually, you're just going back to last November. It was like 350.
Yeah, man. Crazy stuff. So just keep stacking. Charlotte is up. This is success. Char has nothing to do with Hive. That's okay. I want just to highlight this. It doesn't have to be Hive. I mean, me and Task, we are fanboys, obviously. But But if you want to discuss any type of crypto, any type of blockchain projects, whatever, we'll go. We'll talk about it. I might not know it all, especially if it's got to do with some type of Solana BSC thing that requires MetaMask. But Task is fully versed in that stuff.
With John, it's bad enough to talk about Ethereum. Then you're going to fork the sucker and then talk about that? I mean,
Bro,
it's like
dude,
now he's got
can't
2
keep
of
up.
them and 3 of them and 4 of them to deal with. It's like, no. One was bad enough. Well, actually, I guess it was always 2 because since I joined, Ethereum Classic was around.
True. I'm thinking I got to come up with a different acronym for EVM because it's got to stand for, like, you know, very
maddening.
Very maddening. Everything's very maddening. That's what it stands for. Okay, so Charlotte says you introduced us. So yeah, I introduced inside of Start Earning Today, which is kind of a funnel that we've created at CTP. It just introduces people to free different tools they can use to earn some crypto. So we talk about Brave Browser, we talk about Hive, obviously, we talk about free Bitcoin. We did talk about Noise Cash, but we dropped Noise Cash. Like, dude, I'll get on my Noise Cash rants in a bit. But we introduced them to this thing called Pi, which is this little it's this promise of mining for everyone on their phones, and it's you know, they got a really cool white paper and cool concepts, but nothing has really, because you can't buy or sell this token yet, but you can earn it and stack it. So we threw it, as a bonus lesson in starting today. It's not a lesson, it's just like, hey, if you're interested in this, it doesn't take any resources, check it out. You can download the app on your phone. They did, so she wants to know if there's any developments with it. They did start up mainnet a couple months ago. Now, that being said, I haven't kept up to date with everything that's going on in it. It's a passive, it's almost like an idle game, if you're familiar with idle games. You don't really do much. It's, you know, you press a button every 24 hours. And it's apparently mining it. So it's proof of network. So you're proving the people that you have, you know, in your friends group is who they say they are. So like my wife might be someone. It's typical MLM stuff, but it's not MLM. It's not multi-level, but it's, you know, tell your friends and family about this, and that'll secure your network. Make sure they are who they say they are and stuff. It's an interesting concept. I don't know where it's going to go. It's one of those things that doesn't cost me anything. It doesn't require me any effort. I don't need to overthink things. It's just those one of what ifs. I mean, that's crypto to me as a whole, the what if factor. What if this stuff goes crazy? What if? That's the what ifs. Hive to me is the solid thing. So I do concentrate on Hive. I don't really pay attention to much else, but it's something that we did promote inside of Start Earning Today, just to give people something to do and to learn how to mine on their cell phone. So there you go. Good. Yeah. Stoic Task.
Works for me.
Yep, perfect. That's all I was looking for. Here's the listener's question. Okay, so we'll have to frame this. We'll ask a question first, and then I'll go over what happened. So NFT BBG wants to know, just curious about the current direction in the reduction of listeners' rewards. Okay, so how do I put this? Blaine and I and Eliana and the CTP as a whole, this is not an excuse. This is just framing what we're doing here. We are online entrepreneurs first, crypto fans and users second, but it's becoming more prevalent. It's everything we do now, but we're still very new to this.
Isn't everybody?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much the idea of Listeners was to create a content discovery tool using the old viral mailer model and putting a blockchain element to it, putting crypto in it, creating this thing called proof of mail. No one's done this before. No one ever thought of this. It was something we said, this is going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. listeners is the perfect test subject for this. Let's get it going. One of the things we didn't do right, and listen, I could admit when we screw up, because we screw up a lot, was the inflation on listeners. Now, we did not, again, being entrepreneurs first, blockchain and crypto numbers people second. We didn't do the math properly when it came to launching this, so the inflation was astronomical. So this was a big problem for listeners over the past couple of months now. People were just like, look, there's so many of these tokens going out into the market. We got to slow this down. Blaine and I and Eliana, we didn't want to make any snap judgments, so we tried to slowly reduce it behind scenes. But people got even really up, like people were losing their mind about this. So we talked with a few people. There was, like big supporters of this have been Raymond from Bro. We kind of decided that we need to really cut this down. So people were used to getting all of these listeners. Now they're still getting listeners, but the inflation has been cut, so the rewards are less. That's what's happening because we need to bring this down. We will be implementing buybacks in the future. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff on the back end that will, obviously, we have the use case for it where you can use listeners now to buy your subscriptions, buy your product services from listeners. We have other plans, bigger plans, which is kind of the next question, the future plans for the CTP token. All of this is coming. It's just entrepreneurs first, blockchain people second. So we're trying to learn this so we don't screw up again. We got to learn, we got to move forward. So that's what happened with the reduction, is that we've cut inflation basically. So, a lot of people will say, well, it's not fair because the people that got in first and they got all the high inflation and we're just sitting here. I mean, if they sell it, sure. If they stake it, they'll it's where I think Metzley is the account name. She's does a lot of work with you, I think, she did for LBI and stuff. She said something that was perfect on a comment about listeners. She said, basically, this thing is a toddler. It still hasn't even learned to walk yet. The problem with crypto is that people are so wanting things now, tomorrow, that they don't pull back and say, okay, let's look at big picture. Listeners is 6 months old, the new in version of it. We need to get our legs going. So we want to get this in, we got to correct this, the inflation thing, so we can move forward. Everyone that's got all those high inflation and they got a whole bunch of listeners, we will be having buybacks, we'll be having burn things. We have all of these stuff planned, but we're just trying to do this properly so we don't keep screwing up.
Well, it's like, would you agree with me in the email world, going way back, that Gmail was the game changer? Would you agree with that statement? Email took a turn when Gmail came out. Gmail wasn't introduced till 2004. Yeah. Yahoo was the king email, among others.
Well, Hotmail too, right?
Hotmail too. Yeah. And Gmail didn't come around till 2004. So that's 3 years after the dot-com bubble burst, let alone the build-up during the dot-com bubble. So keep it in perspective, people. I mean, it's like, well, Leo Threads is nothing like Twitter. Well, Twitter's been around 15 years. Leo Threads been around 15 days. I mean, give me a freaking break.
But people forget about Twitter. Twitter back then, when you send tweets, it was a text message.
Oh, really?
Like, when it first started, you sent a tweet by sending a text. That's, like, imagine that now. Like, people would, they would,
and back then, they, depending on where you are, they charge per text. Yep. It's like, quite frankly, we all talk about adoption and growth. 80% of the users in crypto should just go the hell away for about 4 years. If you're going to want the riches that come with being an early adopter and a trailblazer in the technology world, guess what? You got to put up with buggy shit. You got to put up with misallocation of resources. You got to put up with failures. Unfortunately, yes, there's rug pulls, but in addition to rug pulls, there's just basic business failures. And, Hotmail, Ask Jeeves, Webvan. I mean, John and I could sit for half an hour going through different names, CompuServe, AOL, Prodigy. I mean, all these early internet names that are either now just around in maybe name only and got absorbed by somebody, Yahoo. Um, or they're totally gone. And some of it never even got off the ground. Welcome to the world of technology. Welcome to the world of development. Welcome to the world of business. What do they say? Like 70 or 80% of restaurants fail in the first year. Well, guess what happens with crypto development and crypto apps and all that other stuff? I mean, we go back 3, 4, 5 years on Hive. Look at some of the stuff that was here that is no longer here. Now, was some of it a scam, like drug wars? Yeah, you could make that case. Was others just, where'd it go? Well, the development team didn't have what it took to make it successful. They lacked resources, they lacked the ability, they lacked the drive, whatever. I mean, this is the world you're in. If you don't like it, go hang out on Facebook, go hang out on Twitter. They got their bugs worked out for the most part. Hell, we're almost 30 years into Windows with Microsoft. Every new update they have, there's bugs. So, Microsoft is 30 years without a bug-free update. I mean, it's just, I don't know what people expect, John, but, go try developing it yourself.
I think it's because a lot of this stuff is tied to monetary, being that it's all in the markets and it's got to do with money and how much this is worth and that is worth. And I get it. I mean, without that, crypto is just, it's not as exciting. I mean, what's the whole point of it? But you're right. I mean, I think that you do have to pull back and say, look, Hive is 5 years old, like the tech for this, or 6 years. This is not like Gary Vaynerchuk always used to famously say about the internet, but the internet really, like broadband and social media and that, it's only like a decade, 15 years old. It's a teenager. And he always used to say it hasn't even had sex yet. I mean, like, it's a really weird way of putting it, but think of it. Look at Hive, 6 years old. Like we're literally entering grade 1. What did you do at grade 1? You were still eating paste. So, I mean, let's, just let this stuff develop. And I get it. It's attached to price. People are pissed if things, but you got to, I think it's more important, just like you said, you mentioned rug pulls happen. You've got to look at that to me is, I guess, the biggest risk. And I'm not saying that,
but if I could draw a parallel, we all got 16,000 times we've gotten the Nigerian Prince email. Yeah. Look at all the email scams, forward this and Microsoft will give you $10. All this other shit that we saw all over the years. Does that make email bad? Did that stop email? Did that stop Gmail from becoming the biggest communication platform for a while on the planet? No, but there were scams in there. Are there scams in the stock market? Yes, of course. Go into the penny stock world, you see a whole shitload of scams. Does that mean stocks are scams? No. It's just I don't know what people expect. And then, they scream for stuff. We want this, we want that. And you bring it out and then they don't use it. It's like then they bitch about it. And we see that with Leo threads. Oh, well, where's the rethread button? It's not there yet. Shut up and just use what's there. Oh, well, it doesn't do this. I can't find this. Oh, the layout. Shut the hell up. Go back to Twitter. Seriously, go to hell to Twitter and stay on there. And here's something that's very interesting. You want to fix people's asses, John? And I don't know how to incorporate this into what you guys are developing. But I put this in a thread. I sent a DM to Cal, which you'll see in about, 6 months. But I said, okay, Project Blank's going to have an airdrop at some point, and it's going to be based on Leo Power Holding. This is what we were told from way back when. So I presume it's still the same. I said my suggestion was take a portion of the Project Blank airdrop, let's say 20%, and you go through the threads and the people who are threading and the number of threads they did, because it's all on chain. You can pull up the accounts and do that. And you take 20, 30% of your airdrop, and that's who you direct it to. You direct it to the people who are giving feedback. You direct it to the people who are on there with the bugs, who are following bug reports, who are doing it when things are slow and clunky and there's issues, and you reward them. And then you know what's going to happen? The people who didn't get the rewards, who weren't on there, who are sitting on Discord, who are sitting on Twitter, they'll scream to high heaven and scream bloody murder because somebody else was getting more of the airdrop than they were. Well, tough shit. You should get in there and get busy. And, you know, I don't know if there's something you can do to incorporate it in there, but if people are just going to piss and moan and sell their listeners and just say this sucks, fine. You know, incorporate something where something else is taking place and you say, okay, because of this and because, you know, Jimmy and whoever else is in there, Metz Lee and whoever else is in there using listeners on a regular basis. And, you know, I'm sure Blaine could go through and find out who they are.
Oh, you know,
You know, those are the people you give free stuff to, you give extra stuff to, you reward more. And when everybody else complains, say, listen, you should have been using the platform for the last 6 months and instead of just bitching about it. You know, you're right. These things you have to adapt, change. And the worst thing a development team can do, and I say development, not coder necessarily, but project team, developing, you know, business team, is to just sit there and you know, have their feet in the cement and say, oh, well, you know, we won't change anything. I mean, you have to adapt. You have to change. You have to take feedback. You have to grow. You have to take, and, you know, when people bitch and moan, say, you know what, we don't really need you. You know, Listeners has a couple hundred users or whatever it has. Well, if you lose 60 or 70 of them, yeah, percentage-wise it sucks, but get rid of those 60 or 70. If you're on your road to 10, 20, 30, 50,000 users over time, who gives a crap? Get rid of them. You know, you're not worth it. And, you know, that's just the approach I have, because I've seen too many people over the last 5 years. You know, Steam sucks, Hive sucks, this sucks. Okay, leave. Go to Facebook. You know, Mark Zuckerberg will take you back with open arms and until he slams your account. Who was it? Somebody mentioned today that they had their Twitter account closed. Oh, Jerry the Farmer, I think it was.
Oh, really? Wow.
I think his Twitter account.
Oh, that happens all the time. And, you know, it's like people, you know, does Twitter suck? Yeah. Do you keep using it? Yeah.
Well,
what's the better
option?
option?
He got
here,
off.
it's being built.
Look at Crypto. YouTube closed his account, and he's like, "Should I use Hive? Should I use or ThreeSpeak? Should I use Odyssey? Oh, my YouTube account's open again. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back on YouTube. I'll never get it.
And then he posts,
I'm
back on YouTube. Here's my.
I get it for exposure. Like I get that there's more eyeballs on Twitter, and your voice can get out there. But like there comes a time when you just kind of got to put your foot down and say enough. And I mean, I've done that. I mean, I refuse to use Instagram. I haven't used Instagram in years. Guess what I use? I use Like2. I've used Medium once. I think I signed up for an account.
Now you can use Threads. I mean, Threads, you can use Threads like Instagram. You can put up 4 words and a picture. Knock yourself out. You know, I see that if it's a nice picture, I'll actually upload it and get you some Leo, because it's like, okay, that's a good use case. I see nothing wrong with that use case. You know, it is, Threads is open, so it doesn't have to be financed. So if you want to take a picture of the sunset or your dog, you know, chasing a snake or whatever, you know, put it up there. I think it's great. You know, I understand people say, well, we're tweeting, we're part of the Twitter Hive army. Yeah, but look at our onboarding. The numbers aren't there. So what's it really accomplishing? You know, other than just feeding more shit to Twitter. I mean, not that it's a bad idea. If you can try to get some things going, and they call me Dan's inserting himself and Starkers into some of the serious players of Web3 and Web2 DPoS and POS, and they get into those conversations, which I guess is good. Maybe you can get a few converts, but the way tribalism is, probably not. But what the fuck are you doing on Twitter? I mean, really, what are you accomplishing on Twitter that you can't be on Hive and spend your time on Hive commenting and have a greater impact? Is my question. If you're tweeting out and you're getting 5 to 10 people a day, and maybe Three Speak is, maybe Leo Finance is, I don't know. And of course, applications, they have to keep up to date, people up to date. But and I always say, hey, CryptoManiacs is coming on, and we got so and so, and check John's account for the links, because he handles all that. That's notification, and that's fine, but at the end of the day, like you said, when are we going to just say, enough is enough, and let's turn and let's act like that other shit doesn't exist and build the best thing we can here?
I mean, that's literally the training, and it's actually a perfect segue into what are your future plans for CTP. A lot of our training does that. We talk about, okay, you can use Instagram, you can use YouTube. We don't. We use Three Speak. We use Like2. We use Peak D. We use Leo Finance. We use CTP Talk. We use all of these applications on Hive. You can use all that other stuff. I get it. But this is where we are. Because I truly believe, and we've gone over this before in the past, you're a little tiny guppy in a massive ocean, or you can be a salmon in a trout pond. I'd rather be the salmon in the trout pond than the guppy in the ocean, because at least I can get noticed in the trout pond.
And the question is, will that trout pond grow into a lake and ultimately maybe grow into the ocean? I mean, my social media history is this. I've never used Instagram, never downloaded, never used it once. I didn't use Twitter till Belimo and who was the other one? Nathan. Till they just kept beating on me, and Cal too. All three of those kept beating on me to get on Twitter to help, Hive on Twitter, which, we're shadow banned, so we're not really reaching many there. Facebook, I probably had a Facebook account. In fact, I know I had a Facebook account years ago, because I keep getting the dopey emails in an old email account of mine, but I don't go on there. Medium, I've never used. I've read stuff on Medium, but I've never loaded stuff. And YouTube, I mean, I go and use YouTube because that's where there's a ton of content. So I'll watch people on Tesla and on markets, on the economy, and stuff like that. But I've never uploaded one single YouTube video or one video to YouTube. I'm working here in the next, 50 days or so. I'm heading towards 2,000 videos on Three Speak. So almost 2,000 on Three Speak, 0 on YouTube. And that's a track record I'm very proud of. So, you make the commitment, and it's like, okay, are we missing something here? Maybe, but at the end of the day, it's you gotta commit to something, and you gotta commit to where you think things are going. Wayne Gretzky's famous for saying, "Go where the puck is going to be, not where it is, or not where it's been." And it's like, well, are you 15 years ago, were you getting the DVDs from Netflix, or were you still running down to Blockbuster if you were starting? And I can remember I didn't have a DVD player, so I started to watch the Netflix streaming, which, towards before 2010, there was a very limited selection. Streaming wasn't very good, but I was there already watching it. I wasn't at Blockbuster. I wasn't getting the disc. And what happened? Within a couple years, their library on the streaming exploded. And that's where things were going. And obviously, Netflix may be having some issues because it may be going elsewhere away from Netflix. Who the hell knows? And it's the same thing with this. If you think Web3, even though we don't have a true definition of it, but if you think Web3 is where we're going and certain parameters, and they call me Dan is great for talking about this, account ownership, immutability of text, node infrastructure that's incentivized. If you think that's all part of where we're going and where the internet's going, is that on Facebook? Is that on YouTube? Is that on Twitter? Or is that on Hive? That's what I think you got to ask yourself.
True. Gratitude Mind just asked, what are the future plans for CTP? Obviously, this isn't really a secret. We've mentioned this before, but everything we're doing runs through CTP. It's going to run through the CTP token, everything in the future. I can't, and I know because Blaine's watching, I cannot divulge exactly what we're doing because it's super top secret, but I have been playing with multiple projects that we're developing right now, and the use case, not only is it very Hive centric, everything we're doing, how you're going to benefit from this stuff. See, Blaine's like, I know he's watching. Everything is going to run through the CTP token, not financial advice. Obviously, I have a vested interest in talking about.
I do have, I think, Blaine, is it okay if I let the cat out of the bag? Well, I'm going to do it anyway. Blaine can yell at me like he yells at you. Blaine and I have had some conversations, and we talked about a few different projects, John, behind your back. And part of CTP's future, not quite sure how much of it, is going to be on Polygon, just for you.
Perfect.
So there's going to be about three apps that are going to roll out on Polygon.
Can't wait.
Yes, and before they roll out, though, one of the things Blaine has said is it is up to you to get the tutorial videos done, edited, and up. And that has to be at least a week, if not 2 weeks, before the release of the app, so people can review it. And that's on you. So, by the way, that'll all be out probably by September the 15th. So you better get on your Ethereum, Polygon, MetaMask learning curve.
Can't wait. I haven't logged into my MetaMask account for probably 6 months.
No, I'm just kidding. Blaine doesn't talk to me. If he did, he'd probably yell at me like he does you. So
it's okay. But yeah, the future plans, and again, entrepreneurs first, blockchain people and crypto knowledgeable people second. Everything we're doing ties into the CTP token. Everything. Absolutely everything. Take that as you will. If you believe in, and this is what I wanted to mention before when you talked about rug pulls. This is the difference, and I'm not trying to say that we're, the shining examples of awesomeness, but we'll only be here tomorrow. We're not going anywhere. John G. Olson can't disappear off the internet. Okay? Blaine John, those are not made up names. That's our government names. We can't it's impossible. Literally impossible to rug pull. First of all, I would never do it. I'm here for the long run. Even if we get punched in the gut, we'll still get up and we'll still move forward. But we're not going anywhere. So, yes, the list nerds inflation. Yes, CTP. We get it. Okay? We didn't have everything perfect. It's not going to be. But we're still going to be here to meet.
I don't know what people fucking really expected, and I'm just going to get blunt. The bottom line is, you guys know there's problems, and you're addressing them. Maybe you're not addressing them in the time frame people want. Well, fuck you. Adjust your expectations. There's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many days in a week. Blaine can only type so fast and hack out code so fast. And when he does that and he sends it live, guess what? Then 8,000 bugs show up, because that's what development is. And he has 8,000 things on his immediate to-do list that he has to tend to. And that's just the way this is. But you're right. I completely and emphatically believe you, Eliana, and Blaine are not going anywhere. I can disappear and not pay attention to what the hell is going on with CTP for 3 months at a time. And I have no worries that, oh my God, in 3 months they'll be gone and there'll be a dead token. It won't be. I know it. I mean, maybe the market will be dead, but that's the market. And those are the people you trust in this Wild West called cryptocurrency. If you can't do that,
Yeah.
Get the hell out. Go somewhere where the SEC is looking over everything, and the companies had to go through J.P. Morgan or Goldman Sachs that are registered with FINRA, and they're eligible to sell securities and all this other stuff. And go buy yourself some Home Depot or some, Coca-Cola stock and enjoy that. If you want to be part of something that can be magical, there's a chance it's going to turn into dog shit. We all know that. There's no guaranteed success here. You guys, like you said, you've said it 6 times, you're entrepreneurs. What does that mean? Entrepreneurs have usually more losses than they have wins. Just that 1, 2, 3 wins that they have far outpace the losses, because they learn the lessons and they get better, and they keep learning the lessons, and they keep adjusting and adapting and applying knowledge. And sooner or later, they get that one breakthrough, whether it's that restaurant, whether that's one company, whether it's whatever it is. And all of a sudden, it's like everything explodes. And those 4 failures, long forgotten, because they're driving around in an expensive car, living in an expensive home in a nice zip code, because all of a sudden the money rolled in.
Yep. Overnight success took 10 years, right?
Exactly. And, Hive is 6 years old. Well, guess what? We've only been in charge of the base code for a little over 2.5 years, whatever it's been. Before that, we had Ned the flunky overseeing the code. Guess what? Well, for 4 years, very little was done. Block trades and Howu have done more in 2.5 years than took place in the entire 6 years on the other chain. It's just that's how stuff unfolds. And sometimes it's getting the people in place, and then the people who are in place going on the learning curve. A lot of this crap is new to a lot of us. So, Blaine's learning as he goes. You're learning as you go. I'm learning as I go. This morning I figured out how to set up a table in MetaMask.
Very
nice. Not in MetaMask, excuse me, in Markdown. I've been using Markdown for 5 years. I never knew how to set up a table. Well, I'm doing something that I had to learn how to set up a table, and it's coding, John. I use code,
Yeah, Markdown.
I had a search for one of the symbols. I looked, and maybe it's my eyes. I couldn't see it on my keyboard. So I had to search it to say, what is this and where do I find it? And it's like, oh, it's above the backslash. Okay. Or the /. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But that's what you do. That's what people here are doing. You don't think Starkers and Dan are on a major learning curve with Speak Network? Of course they are. And
it's never been done before. Like this.
It's never been done before. And guess what? You got jackasses out there. Oh, those Speak guys. It's been 6 years or 6 months since they took that snapshot. Where's the token? Where's this? Where's that? We'll run this. Give me a break, you jackasses. It's like. And I guess I'm going on a rant here,
dude. This is great, man. This has been the task rant. Thank you, Blaine. Thank you. Blaine's put the.
Yeah, I know, this fucking wise ass. It's just, what do you want? Do you want to be involved? Do you want to be in the early days of Amazon? Do you want to be in the early days of Google? Do you want to be in the early days of Apple? Early days of Apple sucked. It took 25 years for Apple to become an overnight success. But Microsoft, and become one of those people who ends up with, hey, this thing I'm involved in, and it took off, and I made hundreds of thousands, 200s of thousands, millions of dollars, whatever. Who knows? If you make tens of thousands of dollars off listeners or CTP, and you did it mostly through effort, what are you crying about? So, those who believe there are brighter days ahead, what do? We preach on the show all the time. We show up each day and we do what we do. Those of us who are content creators like you and I, John, we create content. Those who are coders like Blaine, they code. And that's what we do. And, it's like being part of a startup business, because that's exactly what it is. And sometimes, the toilet plugs up, and guess what? Even if you are president of a company, guess what you're doing? You're in the men's room with the damn plunger, because if the job needs to be done, somebody's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it.
It takes time. And, we all love to snap our fingers and say, oh, Hive will have 150 million people and it'll be $50 a token. And CTP will have, 10,000, different applications that Blaine rolled out. And they're all interconnected and they're serving 100 million people, and CTP tokens worth $20 a pop. Well, if that day does come, it's going to take a while to get there. It's not going to happen this week. Just can't. So, I don't know. If you're not cut out to be an early adopter, if you're not cut out to be a trailblazer, go away and come back when things are easier to use. There's more applications, less bugs. Things are pretty. All of a sudden, Blaine rolls out another update and it's V, 15 instead of V 1.1. Well, guess what? It's going to take them a while to get 150 updates going. But by 150 updates, things will be real smooth. And that's just where it all comes back to. And, all the bitching and moaning and crying about, oh, this isn't right. And why don't they do this? And this needs this. It's like half the time, if I can figure it out, John, you probably already know it. You and Blaine already know it. I'm not going to sit there and say, you know what, listeners really needs this, and this. Yeah, no shit. Like we didn't figure that out.
We're aware. We know.
Yeah, we've been at this for 15 years. You think you think you're going to tell us something we don't know about this crap? And maybe once in a while there will be some, but if it's glaringly obvious, it's like no duh. Yeah. You're only the 80th person to mention that this morning. Come on, people.
83rd, actually. But,
Yeah, really.
That was good, man. That was good. We do have 2 more questions though before we get out of here. That was pretty epic to ask. Fiberfrau. So Kimberly said, how do you decide what in which percentage tokens to delegate versus stake? What do you look at before delegating to a project? So here's the beautiful thing about Hive. If you know the person, if Task would set up a project and say, hey, I'm looking for delegation, I'll obviously delegate the task because there's a relationship filled. This is the beautiful part of the layer 1 social network we have here on Hive. We can actually interact with people, even if they don't have a real name. It could be XYZ. If Freedom ever shows up and starts talking to people, who knows? The point is that because of the reputations and the relationships we're building here, that's what makes me delegate to something. I believe in Leo, so I delegate to Leo voter. Simple. I believe in Bro and Raymond. I delegate to Bro. Simple. How do I? Because I have a relationship with these guys. I've known them for years. That's what helps me determine on delegating to a project. The relationships. This is why it's so important to build those, which we've been talking about at CTP for decades, how important it is to build your relationships with people. Here you go on Hive. For percentages, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, if I can jump in, there's another R word that comes into play. It's reputation. And it's not the dopey number next to our usernames. It's like you said, Raymond, it's Cal at Leo Finance, it's you and Blaine, it's Eliana, it's Block Trades, it's Howu, they call me Dan and Starkers and Marky Mark and Archange, and a lot of the guests we've had over this year and a half or whatever we've done this show. It's all about reputation, and not everybody's a developer. I mean, a guy like Belimo, who is certainly a very interesting individual to say the least, but he has a reputation. You can't question his dedication and his desire and his commitment to Hive and different aspects of Hive. And that's really, when you look at who are you going to follow, what is their reputation? What are they doing on chain? And if they're part of a project team or they support a project team, why do they support it? Why does John support Leo? Maybe you don't know, Cal. Maybe you don't know the Leo finance team. But if you know John and John supporting Leo voter with some delegation of his high power, you say, okay, I'm going to, not exactly proxy, but I'm going to use John as my resource center for his knowledge. And okay, I trust John. If he's going to support these people, they're probably pretty good. And that's how I think, and this isn't something like you were saying about the YouTubes and the Twitters. You are so buried in there among millions and millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions of people. how do you stand out on Hive? You can stand out, and some of the names I just threw out, yeah, they're the mainstays, they're the pillars of Steam. But you can go into any of these other communities in CTP. Tuesday, we got Jimmy Adamas, and I mean, a very loyal CTPer, a very loyal listener, and now a very loyal Lion and Leo thread person. And Jimmy, what did he do? He just got excited about stuff and just goes batshit crazy using stuff.
Yeah, he
Well,
uses it. Yeah, exactly.
Jimmy is, and he's looking to help out. He's looking to improve. He's looking to build. Gadrian, another one. You met him. He's helping me with Leo Glossary. I see his posts. I see what he puts in his posts. He puts time and effort. I always upvote his posts. I support him not only because he's supporting listeners, but he puts out good quality content. And that's how you get your reputation, because you're available, you're around, you're doing things that say, hey, I'm not getting paid for Leo Glossary. Gadrian's not getting paid for Leo Glossary, but we hope it helps out Leo and Hive, and we spend the hours doing it. Jimmy does a lot of stuff, and yeah, he's the number one listener holder. He's done fabulous there. I've been giving him upvotes, so he probably does very well of late with his Leo that he's starting to collect. But that's not his main motivation.
Right.
Maybe one of them, but it's not his main motivation. And so I think that's very important. And if you are struggling to find your place, just dive into shit and start doing stuff over the top. We had Eddie Spino. How did Eddie Spino get They Call Me Dan's attention? How did he get hired by They Call Me Dan? Because Eddie was just a guy who kept showing up and just jumped in everywhere. And Dan said, I got to hire this guy. And so Dan did. And they worked out whatever arrangement. So now Eddie is a full-time Hive 3 Speak Network guy. And, whatever his compensation is, he got that job. He got that role simply by just showing up and being himself and giving till somebody noticed. And it happened to be They Call Me Dan, not a bad guy to get the attention of.
And it just, and it kind of goes to the second question here that John Bestart put up about how is the individual Hive reputation determined. I mean, there's an algorithm, the little fancy number beside your name. Basically, I want someone with higher reputation scores to upvote my content. Not all the time. You just getting upvotes helps, but the higher some. So if Taskmaster's upvoting my content, that helps my reputation grow a little bit. Now, there's a lot more to it.
I think it's primarily based upon what the voting power, the high voting power is, or the voting worth. It's based upon how much high power somebody is voting. So that's why a lot of the early bot people have such high reputation scores, because simply they just were being upvoted with astronomical high power. That's really what it comes down to. And that's why a lot of them are skewed, especially the older ones, because of the bid bots and stuff like that. Some of the people now, it's not quite that way. So all those people are working towards a 70 reputation. If they've come in the last couple of years, they're not enjoying the bid bots. But, for me, the answer to that is what's a reputation? It's John. I don't know what John's number is, and John's number doesn't matter because he's got a bunch of different accounts and they're going to have different numbers. Right. He does different things out of them, but I know what John's about. I know what Blaine's about. I know what Eliana's about. I have no idea what their score is and the reputation is online. In fact, I bet Blaine's reputation online, his number is very low because he doesn't do a lot of posting. But his reputation in my eyes, for what he's done with CTP and what he's trying to do for CTP, I mean, that's that's a lot better than anything Bernie achieved, in my opinion, because Bernie his number was just because he was voting with huge power, and so that's really what it comes down to. Who do you know? It's kind of this proof of who you know. And even though you may not know the person, You don't know their real name. You don't know where they live. You don't know. You've never seen their face. Like Cardboard. I think Cardboard was the one who did tip you. I delegated 2 years to tip you. I still keep getting high power. I don't know who Cardboard is. Cardboard may even be gone. But it was somebody who was involved with Hive for a lot of years and had a reputation. That's what it comes down to. And it doesn't have to be somebody of that magnitude. It could be within CTP. It could be somebody relatively new who's getting on people's radar like Jimmy. And Jimmy will probably tell you, we'll go over it Tuesday. But Jimmy didn't do anything that I know of that was really that radical. He just came in, got busy, and took a lot of action.
Showed up, took action, and kept going. That's the big thing.
Kept going. And doesn't stop. And, he's, basically it's like Jimmy now, and maybe it's because he is on my radar, the fucking guy's everywhere. Like he's all over the place. And he's using every application and he's throwing stuff on listeners.
Oh, he's watching us right now on Twitter, like guaranteed.
He's throwing stuff on Leo threads and he's using like it too, or he's, it's a picture. I mean, he's all over the place and it's like, great. That's exactly what you need. And he'll get on my radar. Is he on They Call Me Dams? Who knows? Does it matter? Probably not. But he's on my radar. He's on some Leo people's radar. He's on CTP's radar. And as these communities grow, you don't need to attract a Hive whale's attention. You just have to attract CTP whales or Leo finance whales or listener whales. I mean, let's be honest. Well, listeners isn't a proof of brain, but if you add a proof of brain concept, let's say, to listeners at some point, Jimmy's probably a good guy to catch his attention. So become the next Jimmy. That's what you want to be. And if there is a proof of brain for listeners, well, he's the guy to know because he's the listener whale or one of them, and he's probably sitting pretty healthy, I would imagine, in CTP. I don't know. I've never looked at the rich list, but that's what you do. You show yourself to be loyal to CTP. That's what Crypto, when he said, oh, well, my YouTube account's up, and so I'm back there. Well, that's not dedication, loyalty. Yeah, you'll throw some stuff on Hive and post your YouTube video on Hive, but to me now that's like, no, you're a Web 2 dude. Man. You're just over here trying to scoff a few upvotes. That's how I read it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I read it.
It's an addiction to the things we know. So.
Well, and he may
break the habits.
In all honesty, he may have a wonderful stream of income over. I don't know if you have. Let's be honest. YouTube, some of those YouTubers can make some decent jack, and a lot better than you're going to make on Hive and Leo and CTP, especially with the prices at this point. But all of a sudden we see some of these tokens 5x. Then all of a sudden, the payout you got over on CTP the last 2 years, or the payout you got on Leo the last 2 years, all of a sudden that means a little bit of money. 8 cent Leo doesn't mean anything. 50-cent Leo, well, all of a sudden that's a little bit of money.
Yeah, man, I'm here for it. I want to accumulate it all, dude. That was a pretty good show. The rants were great. I give you a 10 out of 10 on the rants. That was pretty impressive.
It just seems the bear market and I know people let the bear market get to them. And to me, that's just pure foolishness. If you cannot stand a bear market, you don't belong in the market. And that's whether it's crypto, whether it's equities, it doesn't matter because you're operating from an insane premise that prices should only go up. Markets don't work that way. Market prices go up, prices go down. Now, of course, when prices at the store go up, people complain, but they think prices should always be down when they go buy stuff, but their asset prices, crypto and stocks and commodities and gold and whatever should always go up. And it doesn't work that way. These things are cycles. And, you have to, I think, approach the markets from a certain degree of sanity that says they'll go up and they're going to go down. And I don't know when it's going to go up or when it's going to go down. And you can use TA and maybe you can be successful at finding trends and playing moves. But at the end of the day, the one thing I can guarantee, we're in a bear market. At some point, we will get the bull. And guess what? No matter how high and far and long that bull goes, at some point it'll end and there'll be another bear. And people piss
Cycles,
and
man.
moan. So if you're going to let that affect your attitude of, oh, well, the price is down, so Hive sucks because the price is down, and CTP sucks because the price is down, and Cal's an asshole because the price is down. Well, you know what? Facebook's price is still looking pretty good, so maybe go over there. Don't go to Twitter because their price is in the toilet. So I guess you should drop Twitter because their stock price went down by like 60%. It's just get in the real world. There's a tremendous opportunity here. Either take advantage of it and stop complaining because, what's that saying? There's doers and there's complainers, and nobody ever erected a statue for a critic. And the doers are the ones out there getting shit done, and they're the ones who are going to make the money. Look at the top 50 richest people on the Bloomberg Index. Other than the ones who inherited it, and even some of them because they're second generation and they worked in the companies, they are included. But most of them are doers. They're all doers. They don't sit around. I mean, they all are highly successful at building whatever they built that made them their money. Well, I don't think I'll ever be on the Bloomberg Billionaire Index, but do I want to be somebody like them, or do I want to be somebody who's like on the couch like Al Bundy sitting there complaining all day?
Back when I was in high school, I was all state.
You too?
Yeah.
No, was it all? No, he was all city, wasn't he?
All city or all state? I don't know.
And I don't even think he was all state. He was all city. Chicago, which was a pretty big city, but yeah. So I mean, it's at a certain point in time, the longer the bear goes, the more intolerable some of these people go. And I hate to see the attacks, and I've seen it, and I've been seeing it on listeners. You guys have been experiencing it on CTP, and I know what you guys are all about. And to level those attacks, it's like, give me a fucking break. You guys are working your ass off. Cal and his team are working his ass off. Sean's working his ass off on Leo Threads and trying to update all that stuff. It's like everybody wants to sit there and say, do this, do that, do this. And then we have, 100 threads a day. You get 20 comments a day. It's like, come on. It's like you do something yourself.
Blaine said it earlier. It's a lot easier to point the finger than do these things. So,
yeah, it is.
Get out there and do something, guys. So, it was a good show. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Task, hope you have a great weekend being a content creator.
I'm going to be content and creating right up to the moment where we go live with Jimmy Adonis on Tuesday, Mr. Listener himself. Maybe that's what we'll call him, Mr. Listener. He's the king of listeners.
Perfect. Yes, the king. The king will be here. Jimmy, the King Jimmy.
And then I haven't told you, but the following Tuesday, what would be the date? The 31st.
30th. 30th is the next Tuesday.
30th.
Yeah.
We have another guest, which I haven't even told John about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do.
We're set for the 30th. We're set through August, the next 2 Tuesdays, but you don't know who it is.
No. Guys, I'm even excited. I hope you guys are excited. We'll see you on.
It's going to be a show on Ethereum, I believe.
I can't wait. So Vitalik is coming on the 30th. That's the rumor.
Yeah, no, it's a few levels below the Vitalik level, but we'll have a good Ethereum show just for John.
Yeah, perfect, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday. Toodles.